What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining in. Should probably get off the YouTube channel on my other browser. It was playing in the background. So thanks for coming in. I appreciate it. We got a lot to get to tonight. I thought we were going to have two guests, but we only have one. We're going to bring in Megan Fox in a little bit to discuss the fact that Laura Owens, lawyer, after a 3-week hiatus on Twitter, just decides to come back and start basically becoming a bull in a china shop again. Just he knows no boundaries. He leaves everybody in his wake and just loves to spout off on Twitter. So we're going to get to that. I wanted to again thank you all for coming in, and if you are so inclined to help donate to this YouTube channel, by all means, the ways to donate are down here. Also subscribe, you know where the subscribe button is, but if you want to donate, you can use any of the platforms below. Before we get started, before we bring in Megan Fox, so obviously a new shirt this week. This is my Twin Pines Mall, Hill Valley, California, 1:16 a.m. If you don't know what that means at all, I will say we can never be friends ever again in the history of the world. No, I'm kidding. But if you do know what at least movie it's from, I don't know if everybody knows what happened in the movie and how things changed. Excuse me. And I wanted to talk about it real quick before we bring Megan on. So the thing is, by the way, this is from Back to the Future, Twin Pines Mall. When this movie came out, 1985, I can't remember how many times I saw it in the theater. It was a big cable movie once it hit HBO, so I used to watch it there all the time, and you all know it's one of my favorite movies. And I think one of the biggest things was I watched it for a while, and I noticed that in the beginning of the movie, when Marty goes to the mall to meet up with Doc Brown, and Doc Brown says, "I've invented a time machine." When Marty arrives at the mall, it says Twin Pines Mall, which is actually the La Puente Hills Mall in La Puente, California. At the end of the movie, when he comes back from 1955 and he goes to see himself go back to 1955, when he goes up to the sign, it said Lone Pine Mall. And I think for the longest time, I didn't really understand it. I didn't know why. And the more rewatches I've had of that movie, the reason why it changed is because when he goes there in the beginning of the movie, it's Twin Pines Mall. He gets in the DeLorean, goes back to 1955. The first place he ends up is in the barn of a guy named Mr. Peabody. And Mr. Peabody is somebody that Doc Brown had brought up in conversation before, but you're not thinking anything of it. Obviously, you do after rewatches. When Marty breaks out of the barn in the DeLorean and is, just racing off Mr. Peabody's farm, you can see Mr. Peabody has 2 pine trees, and Marty runs over one of them, which now leaves 1 pine tree. So he changed the course of history, not only in other ways with, affecting the way his parents met, and he had to go put that back together, but he also made Twin Pines in Mr. Peabody's yard Lone Pine. Do many people know this? I know diehards of the franchise are like, we've known this for years. But the casual fan that has maybe seen Back to the Future 3, 4, or 5 times, are you aware that it changes during the movie from Twin Pines Mall to Lone Pine Mall? And do you know why it changed? I just told you why, but I'm just wondering if anybody noticed that. If anybody, because I noticed it for years, but I don't think I put together why. And I don't remember what rewatch it was. I don't remember what year it was when I realized, oh, that's why it changed from Twin Pines Mall to Lone Pine Mall, because he ran over one of the 2 trees. And I guess Mr. Peabody just felt he couldn't make another pine tree. He couldn't plant another pine tree, so he just left it, and it became Lone Pine Mall. So, just wondering how many people knew that. Brad, did you know that? Oh, Brad's not here. He was, but he's not here anymore. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was something I posted earlier today. By the way, I'm looking at the comments right now. I did not notice that. Never noticed. I didn't notice. I've seen it a lot and never noticed. I'm a movie nerd, and yes, I made the connection. So 88 Cam, congratulations. Yeah, that was something that took me a while. I know it's been, I mean, that movie came out in 1985. We're in 2024. Like, next year will be 40 years since it came out. I don't remember when I realized it. It might have been in the last 10 or 15 years, but I don't remember. I don't know. But yeah, you really would have to pay attention to remember something like that, or put two and two together. There's also another thing that happens in that movie, or maybe it was in the second one, that took me a while to understand as well. Because remember, this is a movie about time travel, and we all know time travel isn't real. By the way, I just realized my ring light was off. So I just realized, obviously, we know time travel isn't real. So when you're watching a movie like this, you have to suspend disbelief, and you have to follow time travel the way they present time travel if it were to be real. And yeah, I'm bummed that I can't remember when I realized the Lone Pine Mall, Twin Pine Mall difference. It might have been in the advent of social media, when people would talk about the movie more and make memes and stuff like that. And that's how it was pointed out to me. Or if I did remember, or I did realize it by a bunch of rewatches and just paying attention more. And when Doc Brown was telling Marty the story of Old Man Peabody, you're like, oh, because when Marty runs over the Twin Pine Mall, he also runs over, or Mr. Peabody shoots his own mailbox. And on the mailbox, it says Peabody. So you're just like, oh, when Doc Brown was randomly talking about Old Man Peabody and telling a story that none of us care about, we actually see the man that he was talking about. So anyway, I just, at least you know now. But boy, I'm an idiot for not turning on my ring light until 7 minutes in. The other thing I want to talk about before we get to Megan, who's going to join us soon, is what I posted today on social media. If you missed it, Twitter and my Instagram stories. Golden Bachelorette is at hometown dates. I know one of them, and it's happening today in Wichita, Kansas, with Chalk Chapel. Chalk Chapel is the guy who Joan was seen at on her first one-on-one of the season at Disneyland. She's having her hometown date with him today. I don't know how many hometowns they're doing. For Gary, he only did 3 hometowns. I don't know if Joan, because her season's going to be a little bit longer, I don't know if she's going to get 3 hometowns or 4 hometowns like the normal show. We don't know. I could probably guess that Kelsey's dad, Mark Anderson, is probably getting a hometown. But I haven't gotten anything for sure. I don't know if today's hometown with Chalk Chapel is her first one, her second one, or third one. I don't know. But I'm sure more information will be coming out soon. But I do know that she's on a hometown date today with Chalk Chapel. And yes, his name is Chalk, C-H-O-C-K. And he goes by Chalk. His name is Charles, but he goes by Chalk. I don't know why, because a lot of you said, I think, Steve, you made a mistake. I think you mean to say Chuck. No, his name is Chalk, C-H-O-C-K. Be honest with you. Never heard that name in my life. I've never even heard it as somebody's nickname. I've never even seen those words written unless it was like, hey, chock full of something, you know? His name is Chalk, C-H-O-C-K. You would think people that obviously are named Charles would go by Chuck. He goes by Chalk. However, without any further ado, I want to bring in our guest. It is Megan Fox. Megan.
Hi.
How are you?
I am great. How are you, Steve? It's good to see you here on YouTube. I'm so glad you're doing this now.
I know. It's just like it's happening, you know?
I know
it's happening. This is week. God, what week? This is, I think, my 4th live stream, and then my My weekly interview podcast starts this week, and Thursday is episode number 400. That's going to be with Clayton.
I'm
Recorded
so
it
proud of
last
you.
Friday. Yeah, it's a really good conversation. And, the thing is, obviously, the Laura Owens story has been a major part of his life for the last 13 months. But what I wanted to do, more or less, was while the first 30 minutes of the interview or so are about Laura and what he's been through, it wasn't like, hey, Clayton, walk us through what happened on May 20th. It's just like we all know the details of his situation with her, what he said to her the day after, all this stuff. It was more along the lines of how it affected his life, what opportunities he lost because of it, her manipulations and all that. And it only is for about a half hour. The rest of the hour, it's a 90-minute conversation. The rest of the hour is more about, hey, again, his mental health, what this has done to him, his own self-worth that he didn't have a lot of for the longest time, going back to his Bachelor season, which I know you never watched. By the way, are you putting into the Bachelorette this season? Are you going to watch and get involved or no?
I keep trying to get involved again because, man, I used to be a fan, Steve. I was following you back in the day, man. I couldn't wait till you blogged. I was on your blog, like refreshing and refreshing and refresh.
Yeah.
But there's something about the formulaic nature of it that just started to really get to me. And I think when Chris Harrison was ousted because of the PC bullshit, I was done. It was like, I'm out.
You weren't the only one.
You don't stand up for Chris Harrison, who has been the backbone of this show, who, everybody loves him. There was absolutely no reason to come down on him at all. That whole thing was so manufactured. It just really rubbed me the wrong way. And then I couldn't see past it. And I don't know. I want to get into it again, but every time I try to watch an episode, it's like, really, we're pulling this game again?
Yeah, it's still the same formulaic nature. Like, you're never going to get away from that. You're going to have to overlook that if you even want to get started on it again, because none of that has changed. It's the same show. It's been this is the 49th season. It's been on. Like, we've had 28 Bachelors and 21 Bachelorettes now.
I still remember the magic, though, of Trista and Ryan. Do you remember? Because that was a magical show.
Because it was a time before social media where
the first show was really crappy, but the second one, the first Bachelorette with Trista, oh my God.
And they're
great
still together,
show.
Obviously still together to this day.
Still together, kids, the whole thing. Like, that's what keeps people coming back, right? The fairy tale that comes true and the one that works out. And you don't expect them all to work out. Clearly, you don't. But at this point, I don't know. The producers work so hard to create that drama, and I just don't think it's necessary. I wish that they could just let it unfold and not try to put that all the bullshit in.
The problem is it's reality TV, and if they don't stage certain things, you could have. I mean, I don't know if you watch any of the Housewives show, and even if you don't, you're very well aware of how wildly successful those shows are.
Yeah,
and they're successful because these women all are catfighting and tearing at each other and bringing each other down and whatever. And if every woman on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills or Real Housewives of Orange County, if they all went to lunch and dinners and all got along, it'd be the most boring fucking show out there, because people are like, why are we watching this? It's just a bunch of elitists enjoying each other's company. Like, that wouldn't be interesting.
I remember the most popular Real Housewives clip ever that I can recall.
Table flip.
The table flip. Like
I've never even watched it, and I know about the table flip.
Table flip. Me either. But that was everywhere, So you're right. You're right. But I don't remember that kind of stuff during Trista's season.
No.
And we loved it so much. And it had such a great outcome, and there was so much drama, and it felt more natural. I don't know.
Yeah.
It just since then, it's just become, and I watched a lot of seasons, Steve. Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to remember when was I did a podcast. You probably don't even know this.
Oh.
I did a Bachelor podcast. It was called Bachelorette Up with my friend Maureen, who's a comedian in Chicago. She's absolutely hilarious. And it was the champagne season. The champagne incident season. Do you remember that?
Yeah, that was Kelsey Weir. So that would have been Pilot
Mhm.
Pete's season. Yeah.
That was the last season that I watched.
Okay.
And
And that was an absolute, like, I don't know. There's so much behind the scenes of that season that was even crazier that you probably don't even know about. But yeah,
I'm
that
sure
was,
I don't.
yeah, that was one of the wildest seasons. And his finale aired the week the pandemic started. His finale was, I think it was if it wasn't a 2-night finale, it aired that Monday. And it was declared
Damn.
that Friday we were in a national pandemic. But yeah,
I think I
which then
remember
pushed
that.
back Claire's season. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything back.
Because that was a big part of the show, which was all the testing and all of that. Yeah. I did a podcast. It's still on Apple Podcasts today. You guys can go back and listen to it.
Was it covering the season, or you watched the finale and you talked?
No, the whole season.
Oh,
every
okay.
episode we did one weekly. And my friend Maureen in Chicago, she's an absolute scream. Maureen McCabe, she is an incredible comedian. She moved out to LA shortly after I met her, and I was so sad to lose her. And then she came back to Chicago, and I was so thrilled to have her there. And then the two of us, we've been friends forever. But she's on the total opposite political spectrum as me, and like we're perfect for each other because we have these different ideas, but we both love each other, which is one of the things I tell people on my channel, especially with the new news that has just come out. Americans really can be friends again. Please embrace one another, regardless of who you vote for, because you really can be friends with people who disagree with you on taxes or whatever. And that was one of the things Maureen and I did really well, which was, she's like super far left and I was super far right, and like, but we're still friends and like we love each other, and that's a good message for America.
Yeah, it's like the best message you can give right now, because ever since last night, and look, it's coming from both sides. We can't just say one side is going extreme. It's coming from both sides last night, because everybody, obviously, in a situation like that, everyone has to have a hot take 5 seconds after, the bullets are fired off in Pennsylvania. And I just wish both sides would have just stopped. Look, the left blamed the right and the right blamed the left yesterday. You can't dispute that. It happened from both sides. And
I think there's a big difference between the elites in that as far as like media people and politicians and America. And I think we need to make that distinction, because Americans, I believe, are not involved in that. And I think that, so like your neighbor and the people at the coffee shop and whatever, we're all just people, right? We're just trying to get along. When we're talking about the elite media and the elite, politicians, that's a whole other class. And those people are working together to divide you all and keep you mad at each other. And just keep that in mind. Okay? Because keep it in mind. I'm not mad at you. You're not mad at me. Like, we love each other. We're friends and we're neighbors. And like, it doesn't matter whose political sign is in our front yard. Like, we love each other. We will help each other in a snowstorm, in a tornado. And let us not lose sight of that fact, that you would never deny your neighbor help in a real situation, right? Like, that's who America is. Don't lose sight of that.
Yeah.
Don't listen to these elite assholes trying to divide you, trying to make you think you hate one another, because you don't. You enjoy watching The Bachelor with each other. These are things that we have shit in common. Our kids go through the same shit together. We're all like, those of us with teenagers are dealing with rebellion and sneaking out and all this other shit. And it doesn't matter who you vote for. Like, it's happening to us all. So find those things that you have in common and hang on to that, and don't listen to those people, because those people, they want to divide you for their own pocketbooks.
Yeah.
That's what it's about.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. I hated seeing the rhetoric. I mean, as obviously as poor, as awful as the incident was, the rhetoric after it was almost just as damaging. At least for me, it was just to see that floating around. It didn't need to be, all the stuff didn't need to be said by both sides. And look, I am not a fan of Trump. Never have been a fan of Trump. I don't think he's a good guy. I think he's a fraud, and I think he's a phony. But I also didn't need him to be assassinated. Like, I'm not cheering. I'm not saying, oh, I wish they would have nailed him. I'm not one of these people.
Yeah,
that's
like,
a
gross.
Why'd they miss him? Yeah,
it's a gross statement. And I think, and again, I've encouraged people, and I did on my show last night, forgive those people who say those things. Forgive quickly. Because for one, they don't know they're making a mistake right now. Most of them are very young, and we've all done stupid shit when we were young. Okay. So going on TikTok and like making it what you think is funny or whatever, just forgive quickly, especially if they ask for forgiveness. Anybody yesterday who said something stupid, let's just forgive quickly and move on with our lives, because there's no reason to hold something some dumb 20-year-old said yesterday against them for the rest of their life. I never would endorse that. Never.
Yeah.
So let's just forgive quickly. Remember, I'm a mother of an 18-year-old. I know how stupid 18-year-olds can be. And, forgive. Just forgive. Because you were 18 once. You did stupid shit when you were 18. I did stupid shit when I was 18. I'm so glad there were no cameras.
And no social media.
And when I was 18. Because holy shit. Yeah. There might even be, footage of me and David Gingras out there somewhere. So all I'm saying is, be forgiving, because you never know what people, have done or will do or say. Just forgive.
What a great segue. We're going to talk about David Gingras right now. And I want to bring this up because, for a while there, we didn't have to deal with him. I mean, we're choosing to deal with him because we were looking at his social media. But for 3 weeks, from June 23rd up until a few days ago, he just went Twitter silent, just didn't say a word. And you could be like, oh, he was on his European vacation. No, because the night of the trial, June 10th, he was in Europe that night and was tweeting out stuff. And he was tweeting out stuff after the minutes came from Judge Mata on June 18th. So it had nothing to do with him being on vacation. We don't really know why he went Twitter silent for 3 weeks. We could probably maybe take a guess as maybe little slap on the wrist from Arizona higher ups telling him maybe you should stop trolling people online, but whatever. Yeah, just stop doing this. But then obviously, for whatever reason, he decided to come back. So I want to take a look at 4 of his tweets that he did in recent days. So let's bring this up.
And, I can't wait. I just can't wait.
So this is the first one I want to bring up. And some of you out there might even be in this live stream right now. This might be your tweet. Numbers are cool too. So you wrote to David Gingras yesterday and said, what if the judge could prove she didn't improperly communicate with her father and didn't make her ruling based on his opinion? Someone already showed you that part of what you said about her was false. And this is somebody saying that, Gingras is basically saying that his whole dispute and the reason he wrote about Judge Mata in his most recent filing was basically disputing the fact that, no, I wasn't communicating with Laura. And we'll get to the whole hearing part in a second. But he said, and keep in mind, I asked the judge to tell me if the claims from the Justice for Clayton were true. She didn't deny they were, so kind of hard to blame me if a JFC cult member lied about what happened. That's on them, not me. Read the case. False isn't enough. A lawyer can only be punished for making knowing false statements. Did I do that? No. And I have no idea what you mean about someone who has shown part of what's false. When, where? I've seen no such thing. Okay. For this particular tweet, he is so hell-bent on this Judge Mata is not responding to what he said in his filing about this whole Planned Parenthood not being open on July 2nd. But if
she had responded, it would have been inappropriate. Can we talk about that for a second?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
because he sent an ex parte email. The judges don't communicate with lawyers in an active case via email. Okay, she's already told him once before, send a motion. Okay, because he tried this before. I can't remember what it was about, but he sent an email and they were like, send a motion, make a motion. So he did it again. And now it's like, make a motion. The court does not act until it is formally requested to do so. And he knows this, okay? He's been in litigation for 20 years. David Gingras knows the rules. The fact that he's circumventing the rules is very strategic. It's not an accident. It's not a dumbass move. It's so that he can make the argument. Well, I asked her to make a statement and she wouldn't. Well, who are you? The fucking media? No, you're not. You're a lawyer and you know better. You know you have to write a motion. You know there's a process. Stop acting like there's no process. And he's doing it on purpose so that he can bloviate to his blog or Twitter or whoever. And she never responded to me. She didn't tell me. So that's evidence that she did this. No, it isn't. It's absolutely not. Courts work in a certain way. And this is law school 101. You learn this the first day you appear in law school. This is what they tell you. The judge cannot act sua sponte, which means on its own, on her own, except in very few circumstances. There are only certain circumstances a judge can act sua sponte. Otherwise, you must always petition the court. You are petitioning. You know the Constitution, Steve? Are you aware of the United States Constitution? You know, the thing that they have in Washington, D.C. under glass?
I'm aware.
There's a part in there that says you have a right to petition your government for your grievances. A lot of people think that this means showing up at public meetings, which it does. But technically speaking, it means lawsuits. That is a petition. You petition your government for grievances. He must put a petition in front of a judge. A judge can't just act willy-nilly. Can't just oh, you sent me an email, so sure. Yeah, whatever you want. No, there's a process. He knows this. He's lying, period.
And I don't know when his recent filing about this and basically saying we want a new judge to see this. This is a filing that in the same filing you're asking for a new judge. You're also questioning the integrity of Judge Mata by basically making the comment that he did, like, "Oh, look," she made her decision, like, "Oh, look, Daddy, I'm a judge now. Yeah. I'm going to rule in favor of The Bachelor." Yeah.
The most misogynistic shit I ever read in print, by the way.
Yeah. And
read the room, Gingras. Does he know the Chief Justice is a woman?
Well, that's apparently not. But that's what I'm saying is that, like, in the same motion that you're asking for another judge to come on this case, whoever looks at this, I'm not sure, you probably know. So this filing that he did and requesting a new judge, who decides?
The chief judge.
Okay, the chief judge.
She's a woman.
Who probably knows Judge Mata and is probably
knows her well and has worked with her for years.
And just is reading David Gingras insulting Judge Mata's basic, integrity.
And women in general, by the way, as if any woman judge would have this silly Barbie doll voice. Look at me, Daddy. Yeah. I'm a real judge now. While she's shaking her tits. Basically, that's what that said.
Yeah.
Like, honest to God, like, who is this guy?
And it's going to get denied. He's not getting another.
Of course he's not getting.
Zero chance.
By the way, he couldn't get a new trial with that motion. He filed the wrong motion. So he filed a change of judge, but he did it untimely. You can't file a motion for change of judge after the final trial. And he knew that too. He's expecting to get it denied so that he can build his case for an appeal. But the appeals court is going to look at it and go, well, it was untimely. Fuck off.
He's not.
He's not going to get anywhere with any of this, which is why, again, a lot of us are saying, are you taking advantage of a client of diminished capacity to rack up a bill?
Very possible.
For needless and frivolous filings that are destined to go nowhere? I have showed so many lawyers this crap from him. Every single one of them says this is going nowhere.
Yeah. He's not going to win an appeal, but it's going to be
fun.
Including my sister. It's going to be fun to watch him try. Yeah. And it's going to be fun to watch him try. That's what we're going to do. So I want to go on to the next tweet. Okay. This one. Numbers are cool. Got him to respond again. She said, no offense, but have you ever been pregnant and miscarried? You would too be furious by your client's conduct. And he said, did you see my previous post about this? I was falsely sued for paternity in the past. Exactly the same situation Clayton claims to be in now. I won the case because I wasn't the father. And I didn't drag the case out for a year trying to get publicity as Clayton has done. This is so off the mark, claiming that Clayton is trying to get publicity out of it. He's tried to get as far away from Laura Owens as possible. He wasn't the one who initially went to the media with this story. Where is he coming up with this, that Clayton is out for publicity? This
is his attempt at PR. He has said that he's also doing her public relations. And oh my God, never ever pay this man to do your PR, because it does the exact opposite, right?
Yeah.
And anybody paying attention could look at what he's doing and be like, is this really helping his client? No, not at all. His assertion that what was done to him is the exact same as Clayton is so off the mark, so crazy. A woman claimed that he was the father of her born child.
Yeah.
It cost him nothing. He just had to go give a swab. It found out, no, he's not the father. End of story. How he doesn't see the difference between a woman who has no born baby, no evidence of ever being pregnant, continually says that the testing is ongoing. Every time the testing comes back not in her favor, it's, oh, the testing is ongoing. There was some kind of dilution. The sample was diluted. We have to do it
fell
again.
off the transportation truck and all this stuff.
This isn't the same at all.
Yeah.
Like in any way. But this is him gaslighting, just like he is twin flames with Laura Owens. The two are the same. They gaslight.
Yeah. The next one that I wanted to bring up was, I can't wait till we get to the fourth one, but I just want to bring this one up. Fenchurch72 said, I assume you will be appealing as well as moving for a new trial. Which avenue do you think would be a better result and a better outcome for Laura Owens? An appellate ruling or a new trial if either were to happen? He said the better avenue, and really the only one, is to have an unbiased judge look at this. That's all I want. Mata's freaking sister follows Clayton on IG. Mata talked to her dad about the case. If this was your life and the judge did that to you, you'd be furious with good reason.
Well, this is the first time I've heard about a sister.
Yeah, I had no idea.
I'm blocked by him, by the way, so I don't follow him because he blocked me day one.
So if Mata's sister is following Clayton, so what does that have to do with anything? That doesn't, you can't.
Nothing.
You're basically, what's it called? You're basically saying because Mata's sister follows Clayton and Mata talked to her dad about the case, she must be biased. That's a very improper leap to make. It's circumstantial
it's
evidence
incredibly
to get to his
improper.
Mata's bias.
Steve, I read through very detailed, and I think I did it on my channel, the judicial canons of Arizona.
Yeah.
There are a ton of things in there about family members profiting from a judge's appointment. Tons of stuff about profiting financially. There's literally nothing in the canons about family members being interested in cases or coming to trials that their family member presides over. Nothing. You don't lose your First Amendment right and your constitutional right to view public trials because your relative is the judge in the case. We learned this in J. Hatch versus Kowalski in Florida. During that trial, juror number one's wife came to one of the days of trial, and she sat in the audience. And juror number one, he claims he didn't know she was coming. She just showed up, right? But J. Hatch attorneys made this huge deal that, oh my God, she's following the case. So juror number one's wife must be talking to him. They must be doing pillow talk. They must be, she's telling him she's following all these YouTubers, and she had been following me, and she was following other YouTubers who were, reporting on the case. It turned out, that the judge was like, he called the juror in, he questioned him, like, did you talk to your wife about this case? The guy was a former LEO for one, so he was used to not talking to his wife about his work because he was an officer of the law, and you can't do that. He was like, no, we didn't. So your wife is following all these people, and she never talked to you. Nope. When did your wife tell you about this, who she was following, etc.? After it was over, and so it was a nothing burger. The judge ruled in favor of the plaintiff and was like, this is nothing. She has a right to be here in this case. The public has a right to view a trial. It doesn't matter if you're a juror's wife or the judge's wife or the attorney's wife, who, by the way, in J. Hatch's case was in the room also. Ethan Shapiro, who worked for J. Hatch, his wife was in the trial. How come nobody brought that up? Why was she allowed there? because the public is allowed in a trial. That was always garbage. Always.
It's interesting that he really, I mean, this has been one of his biggest things since he filed his motion. He is just so hell-bent on the fact that Judge Mata's dad was in the overflow room with a lot of us. You weren't in there. I was. It wasn't until the intermission that someone told me Judge Mata's dad was in there. Mm-hmm. And then he is just so hell-bent on this. And, Laura even wrote about it in one of her blogs, the whole comment that we don't even know if her dad said it about, oh, I just came to watch the shit show, which we have no idea if he even said
actually,
that.
It turns out when I went back and watched the recording, that person told me that he came to watch the circus. And my interpretation of it was the shit show. Okay. That was actually my words.
So he said, I came to watch the circus?
According to the secondhand hearsay person I heard.
And literally, Gingras is basing his whole case on this, is basing his whole filing on this.
Yes. And for all we know, circus meant the media circus in the parking lot. It meant us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if I were to define what does the circus mean, it probably was us with the tent and the blow pops and the food thing and the, come on.
Food was great, by the way.
Food was really good.
Was some good. That was some good baked ziti or whatever it was.
And I'm not offended by that. There was a media van. It was kind of a circus, and that's kind of fun. That's what the media does. We had like a party in the parking lot. Fine, but I mean, for all we know, he was talking about us, and if he even was her dad, has anybody even verified this man who was there was her father? I don't even know. Oh, by the way, I got information, and I don't think this is public yet, that there is some question about who handed him those alleged documents. You know how it was alleged in his filing that Hava said that he told her that Julie, the judge, gave him a filing, paper documents, that she printed it out for him. Well, there's conflicting testimony that the woman standing behind him in line literally handed him a filing from her bag.
Bruce broke that story, apparently.
Which one? The one I just said?
Yeah.
So there's, and I wasn't there because I was in the courtroom. You guys were in the overflow room. I wasn't even standing in line. I have no idea what happened in line. But there are conflicting reports that he's just talking about third-hand hearsay. And none of that it's like a game of telephone. We've all played that game.
And then his other big stink in his filing is that at nowhere in the transcripts from the deposition and in the transcript from the June 10th trial could Judge Mata have known that their Planned Parenthood wasn't open in Los Angeles on July 2nd when she announced during the trial that
unless she had personal knowledge.
Unless she had personal knowledge. So he's saying that, well, when she gave her minutes ruling, in her minutes ruling, she said that Planned Parenthood wasn't open on Sunday on July 2nd. And that was part of the decision. That went into her decision making. And he's like, there's no way she could have gotten that other than going on the internet and finding that out by herself. That's his other big
is not true.
Claim that he's making.
Which is not true. She's a family court judge. She might have and Arizona is right next to California. There is absolutely every reason to believe that she may have had personal knowledge of that. And a judge is allowed to use her personal knowledge. Also, according to a Second Circuit decision, she's also allowed to Google stuff that is of common knowledge. So I'm not concerned about that.
It seems like such a minor detail anyway. Like
even if it were an error,
Steve, go and Google it. Even
if it were an error, it is what's called a harmless error. Okay, it's not a matter of importance that would have changed the outcome of the case. This other thing I wanted to tell you about was him saying that she was denied her right to a jury trial. It is true that under the Constitution, every person has the right to a jury trial, whether you're in family court or somewhere else. And family court notoriously does not allow jury trials, but you do have a right to one anyway, and you can request one, you can fight for one, and it is an appellate issue if you are denied a jury trial. She never asked for a jury trial. So to bring up this thing, this right that she had that she never asked for, is so moot. You have never seen so much moot. It is the most moot you have ever seen in your whole life. If you didn't ask for it, you don't get it. Period.
I didn't even realize she didn't ask for it.
She didn't ask. No, she never asked for a jury. There is no record. I dare him right now. Show me the record of her asking for a jury trial in family court. Go ahead. Publish it.
I think one of the things that has been fascinating through all of this, especially ever since Judge Mata's ruling came down, is, every time Laura blogs and just, tries to gaslight us all into thinking that she's the victim in all this. And anytime Gingras tweets or blogs about something, it's just like we just pick apart everything he says. But he did send a tweet yesterday that I want to bring up now that I think was quite fascinating. And this is something that, man, I can't wait till this day happens. And it's this. BJ's and Burritos asked him, what court will you debate next?
Shut up. Can we take a moment to just appreciate that screen name? BJ's and Burritos.
Will you be making a video?
One of us.
Yeah. Will you be making a video on the news about the new motion? I will wait for your response. Actually, Laura and I will be doing a podcast about this in the near future. Everyone else is. Why not us? As for the next steps, it's complicated. If Mata is removed, a new judge will decide everything. If she stays, she will rule on the MNT, and we will appeal from there. Okay.
Yeah, bring it.
Can I just say, for the record, pretty much all my work is done in Bachelor Nation. There's a lot of former contestants in Bachelor Nation that, the second they come off the show, they start a podcast, and I don't listen to any of them. And this is like my full-time job. I'll listen to quotes here and there if they have a good guest on and other media outlets cover it. I'm telling you right now, if David Gingras and Laura Owens do a podcast together, I am throwing a party. I'm going to live stream the whole goddamn podcast. It's going to be the greatest podcast I've ever heard in my life. I cannot wait until these two. Now, let's make no mistake here. Nothing they say in this podcast will be anything new. It's just going to be regurgitated of everything that she's written in any of her 5 blog posts since Mata's decision, and it's going to regurgitate any of his blog posts and his tweets and giving his thoughts on the trial. The trial is over. Like, he lost. Could he win an appeal? I guess. Nobody thinks he's going to outside of him. But the fact that these two are going to go on a podcast together is so fascinating. Gold! Because he knows you'll be watching, I'll be watching, Dave will be watching, and all of us are going to be doing a recap of their podcast.
And it's going to be epic.
And
maybe we should all do it together.
I know.
The one thing we have to get to, though, that we didn't get to is his
disability.
The disability.
Yeah.
Because I have receipts, Steve. I'm ready to show you my receipts.
So David Gingras, I thought I screenshot those tweets, but I didn't. Anyway.
It's okay. It's all right. We can just say that he said it because everyone knows he did.
He said he had a disability in that he can't hear very well.
And that's why he was doing the baseball signaling.
Yeah. He wasn't coaching Laura. He was just telling her, I don't know, to slow down or speak up because he couldn't hear. And Judge Mata, in her ruling, mocked his disability. Now, this coming from a guy who all he has done is mock Justice for Clayton people.
Do you remember when he called Dave them Neal? Special ed moms?
Yeah. He's mocked Dave Neal. Judge Mata did nothing of the sort in terms of mocking. He didn't call him names. She didn't mock his disability. She just agreed that she felt he was coaching his client. That's not mocking your disability. And number 2, this is the first we've heard about any disability where he can't hear.
He said he had no time to object, to say or tell the judge that he was having a hard time hearing. Would you like to see the video? About
sure.
How much time he had to object? I have my screen shared. Brad can put it up on the screen if Brad is
Okay.
backstage. He knows how to do that. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's watch and see how much time he had to lodge an objection and also say to the judge, I'm having a hard time hearing, but let's hear what he says instead.
I'll move on here. During the November 2nd hearing, you denied that the DNA test results came back with little to no fetal DNA, right?
What?
During the November 2nd hearing,
I said that the test
the question is on. During the November 2nd hearing, you denied that the DNA test results came back with little to no fetal DNA. Because I see you continue.
No, I didn't. I never said it didn't. I said it came back inconclusive.
I'm confused about what date she's referring to. What?
November 2nd.
She said
Oh,
November 2nd.
no. So there's no objection to, I can't hear her. I'm confused what dates she is referring to. And by the way, this is my PJ Media article that I wrote about this. Bachelor Clayton Eckert's false accuser referred for criminal prosecution. And if you go down here on pjmedia.com and you go down, look at this. He tweeted this on June 18th. Many people don't know this, but to preserve or present objections at trial, a lawyer is always allowed to interrupt a witness verbally or with a gesture. It's called quieting the witness. Now, his most recent tweet says he wanted her to speak up. Not quiet her, but he couldn't hear her. But his first thing on June 18th, his first excuse was that he wanted to quiet the witness. This practice is not just allowed and proper, it is required to preserve objections, he says. And then he quotes this thing here, which of course totally contradicts what he's saying. If the witness begins to answer after the objection and before the court has ruled, counsel should gesture to the witness to stop and should immediately interrupt the witness. Guess what? Guess who never objected? David Gingras. Never launched an objection. So guess what? You don't get to signal the witness until when? After, says it right there, after the objection. After the objection. He didn't object. And he said here on the 18th that it was about quieting her. Bullshit. Now he says it's about making her speak up because he couldn't hear her, because he's deaf, because he set off a firework in his ear. You damn liar. You're a liar. I'm calling you out right now, David Gingras. You're a liar. And you called people with disabilities special ed, like it as I put it in my song, my Tramp Stamp Lawyer song. It's literally there forever because you did it. You called Reddit moms special ed moms. Like you used it as a pejorative. So shut the fuck up about your disability because no one believes you.
Well, just to insinuate that Judge Mata was mocking his disability, a disability that we didn't even know about. And why didn't he tell any of this before the trial even started? But yeah, a disability we didn't know about and a disability where, he mocks Dave Neal, he mocks the JFC crew, he calls people pond scum. Like you said, special needs. He calls people on Reddit special needs. It's just, it's comical. It's hypocritical. And it's just a guy that seems to be losing at every single turn, like everything involving this case. I mean, look, he's already thrown it out there that Mata is biased. So it's almost like no matter what happens, no matter how many times she rejects any filings of his, it's because he's already put it out there. Oh, she's biased against it. She's biased against it. She's reading the press clippings. She's getting caught up in the social media aspect of this case. So in his eyes, everything that she does is biased. And when she shoots down and when he doesn't win an appeal, it'll be because Mata was biased. And that's why she ruled the way he did, or she ruled the way she did. And it's just going to be like, it's never going to be enough with this guy. If he doesn't win the appeal, this thing is over outside of, is Laura Owens going to be prosecuted? So he's not going to have anything left to
I'm not even sure
anymore.
he's going to appeal, to tell you the truth.
You don't think he will?
I mean, there is the whole issue of putting up the bond for the appeal. Does she have $156,000 to put up for bond? If she doesn't, she can't appeal.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So if you
how much does she have to put up?
$156,000.
There's no way she's going to put up $156,000. Even if she had it, she wouldn't do it on it.
Might be why he is trying everything he can to get it thrown out in this level, but he's filed the wrong motion. He filed a recuse the judge, and it's untimely. He needs to file for a new trial, but that's an appellate thing, which he did file. I haven't even read it yet. I'm so bored by him because everything he writes is terrible. He's the worst attorney ever. And look, Gingras, just give up. Call it a day and we will stop talking about you. I have so much else to talk about right now.
Yeah.
My God, a former president of the United States was just attempted assassination. Let me move on to that, okay? And we will forget about you forever. Like, I'll never mention you again. But if you keep this shit up, you're going to go down in history as being the worst lawyer to ever have come across LawTube's radar ever.
He's the internet lawyer. He's out for truth, justice, and the American way, or whatever he promotes on his
everybody
Twitter.
Except Dave Neal.
Yeah, except Dave. Yeah, no, I mean it's not over. I mean the trial is over. He thinks he's getting a retrial. He thinks he's going to win this motion that he filed. There's no everybody that I've spoken to says there's zero chance.
No,
it's not
zero.
going to happen. And then if he does go and file
Nada.
an appeal, he's not going to win an appeal either, even though,
Nope.
again, he's the only person that thinks he's going to win. And everything is just so easy for him. Oh, we're going to get this. And we're totally going to win this. And, before the case, it was, what was it? You put this out, I believe, on Twitter last night, where he was saying before the case, this is just a very, very simple case. And then in his motion filing said this is a very extreme complex case. Yeah. Changes his tune.
It's only complex because his client keeps lying. And so untangling her web of lies is very complex.
Yeah.
But it is not it's a very simple case. It's been adjudicated. It's been adjudicated correctly. Judge Mata is a shining example of an unbiased judge who treated him with so much deference. That's my criticism of her, that she was too nice to him. He's a snake in the grass. He deserves to be slapped by a judge publicly in a humiliating way to make sure it doesn't happen again. And she refused to do it. She watched him baseball signaling his client like he's all. She watched him do that and let him continue.
Well, in that video that you played, I actually saw him going like this, like he was having trouble hearing, but he wasn't having trouble hearing because of a hearing problem and a firework going off near his ear.
What he was basically doing was, she said, what? And by the way, here, I have a button.
What?
That's what she said. And her voice, by the way, was louder than everybody else's in that entire thing.
Yeah.
He was mirroring what she just said. What? So he goes, and then if you pay attention closely, he signals to her that she should be surprised at the allegation that she didn't do X, Y, or Z. And he does this first before she goes, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
He is absolutely doing, what do you call that game? Charades with her. Okay. He's like,
I expected him to start going. Movie.
Okay. He is doing charades. My sister, who has been a practicing attorney and a judge for 20 some years now, sitting next to me, elbowing me, going, oh my God. And I look, I'm like, what? Because I was typing on my computer. She's like, look at him. And I look, sure as shit, this man is like, to his client. It was clear what he was doing. There was no question. The judge saw it. Everybody saw it. And my only criticism of her is that in the moment, she didn't stop the proceeding and say, counselor, do that again, and the bailiff will will tape you to your chair. Because she's in her purview to do that, by the way.
Yeah.
And that's what I would have done. Counselor, you move your hands or face again, and I will have Rocco over here duct tape you to your chair. Do you understand me? And that would have been the end of it. So
Well-
baloney, bullshit. I call bullshit. Oh, and by the way, I should mention this. I was watching the Alec Baldwin trial, as everyone was. And if you notice Stephen Baldwin in the courtroom, he was wearing earphones. Every courtroom in America hands out earphones to the hearing impaired or people who just have difficulty hearing. I'm one of them. I don't have anything wrong with my hearing, but I have ADD, so I can't concentrate. So I need to be focused with headphones. That would help me greatly in a courtroom. So anybody who needs it can just go and ask the bailiff or whoever, I need a hearing device. He absolutely could have asked for that. He did not ask for that. And to assume that the judge should just know or ask him if he's having trouble hearing, no, sir. You're an officer of the court. You know damn well that those devices are offered to anybody who needs them. You should have said at any moment, Your Honor, I'm having a hard time hearing. I need a device. They would have provided him one. This is baloney. Rocco, who's Rocco? He's my imaginary bailiff in my courtroom.
Well, we're also
Rocco runs my courtroom.
We're also hearing about this disability, his hearing disability, on Twitter a month and a half after Judge Mata has ruled. Like, again, what does it matter?
Why didn't
You're
he
bringing
put
this
it in
up
his
now.
motion? How
Yeah.
come he didn't put it in his motion to change the
nowhere.
judge?
It just
Where was this mocking my disability in his motion? I mean, he mocked the judge for, oh, Daddy, look at me. I'm a real judge now. But
Yeah.
he didn't put in Judge Mata ignored that I have a disability.
Yeah.
Screw you, sir. I don't believe you. You don't have a disability. And if you do have a disability, it's on you to tell the court that you need help. And you never did that. Nonsense.
Well, I think this case is going to have, I hope it doesn't have a bunch of twists and turns from here on out. I hope it just kind of not dies off, but he gets rejected. There's no appeal, or they do file an appeal and they lose. And then at that point, I mean, the only thing left is the state of Arizona going to prosecute Laura for anything? And, you know, we don't know any of that yet. We'll just have to wait and see. Time will tell on that. But again,
I
Megan,
encourage everybody to keep calling, not calling, sending letters. I already did
Sending
letters
letters.
and emails, not calling. Don't call the county attorney.
Yeah.
But keep sending letters to the county attorney expressing why it's important to prosecute Laura Owens for the decade of lies. Okay? Keep doing that because she needs to know, Rachel Mitchell needs to know that people are serious about this. And keep sending letters. If you've sent one letter, you can send another one and say, how are you doing? How are you doing? We are so grateful that you're even looking into this. Thank you for, you know what we could send her? Let's send her thank you letters to say, thank you for assigning an investigator. We hope that investigation turns up all kinds of stuff that you can charge her with because this woman has terrorized people and make it stop.
Yeah.
Keep the pressure on. That's the important thing.
Well, Megan, thank you for coming on. Your insight is always appreciated here. I learn from you the more you talk about this case because you know the legal side way more than I do. So, again, I thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing your opinions on this. And, again, thanks for coming on. I really
You're
appreciate
welcome,
it.
Steve. Have a
got
great
it.
night, everybody.
Thank
Good
you,
night.
Megan. Bye. So, again, that was Megan Fox. Go follow her on Twitter. Was it Megan Fox Writer? Isn't that her? Is that right, Brad? Yeah. Megan Fox Writer on Twitter. WRITER. Okay. Wanted to get into something that I'm guessing a lot of you don't know about this yet because it just came up about 3 days ago. And if you watched Jenn's first episode of the season, you know that Sam McKinney got the first impression rose. Well, seemingly the new thing to do is for somebody from a contestant's past to take to TikTok and share a story about a contestant from this show. Now, one of Sam's exes, her name is Rayleigh, went on TikTok 3 days ago to share a story. And I don't want to share the whole, I'm not going to share her whole, I guess, TikTok because she did two. And she tells the full story in that. And basically, I'm going to show you the third one, which is it's a little more brief. But basically, in Rayleigh's TikToks, she basically shared that from October of last year to March of this year when he left for filming, she was in a very close relationship with Sam McKinney. And I'm not going to sit here and say that they were, I mean, you have to listen to her TikTok because I think the first one was like 5 minutes long. That's why we're not going to play it on here for you. And then the second one is probably 2 or 3 minutes long. But the point being that we have yet another contestant who downplayed his relationship with somebody and is going to downplay it now that this TikTok is out. I was sent Rayleigh's TikTok earlier today. I reached out to Rayleigh on TikTok and I got on a phone call with her. Rayleigh was actually going to be a guest tonight. And I asked her, I said, hey, do you want to come on and share your story on my live stream tonight? And she said, as much as I'd like to, I'd rather not, because it's still very tough for me to talk about. She said, but I will tell you this. Ever since my TikTok came out, I was just contacted earlier today by yet another woman that was involved with Sam before he left for filming. And those two talked, and timelines, of course, overlapped. So this isn't, I'm not sitting here to, just shit on all over Sam McKinney and say he's the worst human being ever. Because what Sam McKinney did with Rayleigh and what he did with this other woman who came forward to Rayleigh today, and they spoke, and she gave Rayleigh permission to tell me exactly what's been going on with them. He's not the first person to do this in this franchise. He's not going to be the last person to do this. It's just these guys, most of them, and I tell you this every season, I hear negative stuff about these guys all the time. I didn't know about Rayleigh until 3 days ago. And then I find out about an hour ago that Rayleigh was contacted by somebody else that he was involved with while he was involved with her. Now, here's also what I want to share. I am going to share Rayleigh's third TikTok where she just kind of proves with receipts that she was with Sam. So let me pull this up. All right, we're just going to listen to this. This one isn't very long, 53 seconds.
I realize that this is a hater coming onto my page, but one thing I'm not doing is making something up. So we're going to prove that point now.
This is me and my best friend in Nashville for her bachelorette party. The guy standing behind me whose hat I'm wearing is about to start looking a little familiar. This is us later on that night. This is us in Texas for the wedding he flew down for. Sorry, these photos are a little blurry. My mom is taking them. And the reveal of who it is. And the last wedding photo. This is him in Dallas when he came down. And
all right.
This is the last photo we ever took in Myrtle Beach.
So that was Rayleigh. And if you want to go and check out her TikToks, you can watch the first two stories. And yes, basically this all amounts to Sam McKinney basically being an F-boy. I mean, again, we've heard that 1,000 times on this show, but there's some other things that I want to talk about because having spoken to Rayleigh, I learned a couple more things, and I've known one of them for a while now because I've also been in contact with Sam McKinney's ex-fiance. She contacted me back in June, and her and I have been going back and forth. And this was another one where I said, hey, do you want to tell your story? And this is the one that in the very first episode, remember Sam McKinney specifically said, oh, my ex cheated on me. So he's building his sob story around his ex that cheated on him. Now, I spoke to this ex. Her name is Sierra. You could find their stuff online. Sam McKinney, Sierra, The Knot. Go Google it. You'll find it. Now, what I do want to say, and I do want to pass along, is while that is true, because Sierra never, ever denied that to me. She said that was true. I did cheat on him. But there's more to the story that he's not sharing. I didn't ask her what that was. If she wants to tell that story at some point, maybe she will. I don't know if she's going to come on. As of right now, she's not. But maybe as the season goes on and she keeps hearing more of Sam's lies, maybe she will. What I do want to say is this. Sam McKinney was never going to win Jenn's heart. The reason he was never going to win Jenn's heart is because he had to be back in South Carolina because he was officiating his sister's wedding. He knew this. Production knew this. So he could never even win if he wanted to. That's why watching Sam McKinney's journey, now that you know this, just know it's all a bunch of malarkey. It's all a bunch of BS. He knew, he went on the show knowing he had to be home at a certain time because he had to officiate his sister's wedding, which he did. So I'm not buying what this guy is selling, and neither should you. In terms of speaking with Rayleigh, they saw each other 3 different times. She went to South Carolina once for his birthday. He came to Texas where she was twice, and he stayed with her both times. He did not inform Rayleigh he was going on the show until the day he was leaving. And Rayleigh even showed me the notes text that he sent her while he was on the plane flying out for Jenn's season. It's very long. I've got it here on my phone. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but for a guy who's about to go on Jenn's show, and then, I'm just saying, you kind of put this out there knowing that what we're going to watch these next 6 weeks with Sam on the show. It's just like, this guy's full of shit. He tells women what they want to hear. He's a major love bomber. That's for sure. And I just kind of skimming this. After the situation with Sierra, the ex-fiance, I became a protector of my feelings. I ran around for a brief time with girls and alcohol. I remember feeling I didn't know what my purpose was anymore. That's how you and me ever became truly anything, Rayleigh. I would have never flown to Texas. You would have just been this awesome girl I met at a bar in Nashville. When I came to Texas, like I said, it wasn't about you. It was about me chasing that feeling of being okay, stepping onto the path of the unknown. Good God. He reads so many novels. And when I saw who you were, I was immediately hooked. And when the Dallas game rolled around, he's talking about a Cowboy game, you got to see a bit of me in my element. And when you left, I obviously gave you that shirt as a reminder to how you deserve to be treated. And you said to me that trip changed your perspective. I knew about how busy you were about to be with school and internships and whatnot. So I continued to protect my feelings. I felt like that was a time when you were going to walk away, and it didn't happen. Then my birthday rolled around and you got to meet my family and my dogs and my people. Yes, she met his family. He met her family. So again, this isn't some girl that's bitter that a guy that she's took up with is on the show. This was some serious stuff going on between Sam and Rayleigh, and he didn't tell her he was going on The Bachelorette until he left for filming, the day he left. And he sent that note while he was on the plane. The other thing I want to point out is there's another girl involved who lives 10 minutes from him in South Carolina that Rayleigh found out about today. And when Rayleigh confronted him about her, he called her psychotic. He also called his ex-fiance crazy because Rayleigh asked him about his ex-fiance today because his ex-fiance reached out to Rayleigh today as well, since Rayleigh's TikTok went up a couple days ago. And he said, let's see. I talked about my feelings, and that's because you won't accept because you weren't honest. Funny, because I'm currently on the phone with a girl talking about the girl that goes to his gym. He said, have fun with that. She's psychotic too. That text was from about 4 or 5 hours ago. So again, I think, look, we know that there's F-boys in this franchise, but when someone wants to speak their truth, like Rayleigh did, Rayleigh's already getting shit from his family. Sam McKinney, his sister, has already gone after Rayleigh, telling her, you need to be telling the full truth. And Rayleigh's like, this is my truth. I lived it. I have all the receipts. Obviously, his sister is sticking up for him, but does his sister know every single thing that Sam said to Rayleigh? No, she doesn't. She might know a little bit more now since I read one of his notes, the notes he wrote to Rayleigh as he was literally on the plane to go to Jen's season. And we saw in the previews for the season in Seattle, right about before he's about to get eliminated, he's telling Jenn he loves her. Well, this is what I mean. Like, this guy's a fraud. And not telling someone you're leaving before filming what he's going to say and what he's already saying, and I believe his sister has said this to Rayleigh, is, well, he couldn't share that with anybody. It's just like, come on, dude. If you're talking to Rayleigh and you don't tell her about you have to leave for film, like you're literally meeting her family, she's meeting yours, and you don't tell her you are on The Bachelorette until the day you leave, and you're using I wasn't allowed to tell anybody, I signed a contract, and you're hiding behind that, that's bullshit. Because when you've been back from filming, Sam, you have contacted Rayleigh and you did tell her what happened on the show. So I don't want to hear you hiding behind the contract when you've told Rayleigh since you've been back. Because when he got back from filming, he did contact Rayleigh and they have spoken. No, they have not seen each other since they've been back from filming. You know who he has seen since he's been back from filming? The other girl who contacted Rayleigh today. She's been with him since he got back from filming. What else is interesting is Rayleigh told me what Sam told her since he's been back from filming. He told her about the show after he's been back. He called Jenn a liar to Rayleigh since he's been back. He said Jen's feelings are all over the place, and the person that she picks at the end is going to prove that point. Now, I'm paraphrasing because I didn't hear the conversation, but this is what Rayleigh told me, and I trust her, and I believe her because she provided receipts. But she said, yeah, on the phone, he told me. He said his exit is, I wanted to leave, but they're going to make Jenn, they want to make Jenn look good, so they're going to make it seem like she sent me home due to controversy and, stuff going on in the house, which doesn't surprise me at all because that scene from the episode 6 group date after party in Seattle, where she walks out on him after he tells her, I'm in love with you. And she's like, but why? And we see her walk out. So clearly that's going to be Sam's exit. He says he doesn't get eliminated at a rose ceremony. I mean, this is why it's funny to me. He's putting up this front and you're going to see 6 episodes of him claiming to be into Jenn when I can tell you now, he told Sierra, his ex-fiance, before he left for filming. Let's read that one. I don't even care about this show. I'm just going on for the experience. Production knows I have to be back home by the first week of May for my sister's wedding because I'm marrying a sister and her fiance. So again, dude's been caught. I'm sure this is going to get back around to him and he's going to make all the excuses in the book. There is one common denominator between him and Rayleigh, his ex-fiance, and the girl at the gym. 2 of the 3 he's called psychotic and crazy already. Oh, they're crazy. They're psychotic. Don't listen to them. There's one common denominator in all 3 of those relationships. And that common denominator is Sam McKinney. Just keep that in mind. And look, again, is he the worst person in the world? No. But when someone that he was messing around with and was pretty serious with and doesn't tell her he's going on The Bachelorette until the day he leaves, does a 5-minute TikTok about her experience. And if you watch the 5 minutes, you can see 2 or 3 different times she's about to break down. She's still distraught over this. Now, when she filmed that video, I think she really did still have feelings for him and probably would have been willing to work things out because she told me since he's been back from filming, they were talking about working things out. They were talking about meeting up and seeing each other until she just heard from the girl at the gym that he knows from her gym, who contacted her after seeing her TikTok. And now these girls are talking, they're sharing stories, and now he's basically dead to, he's dead to rights at this point. But I guarantee he's going to take to social media, and I guarantee be prepared for him to come out with some gaslighting story about how all the exes are crazy and he's the one in the right. Look, his ex-fiance has been nothing but honest with me. Rayleigh has been nothing but honest with me. But Sam's going to go on TV and talk about how his ex-fiance cheated on him and that destroyed him. Okay, fair. Sierra has never denied she cheated on him. But you know what? Sam was so distraught about Sierra cheating on him. They were still trying to work things out after the fact and had been intimate with each other after she ended the engagement. So how much was he really affected by her cheating if he had been with her after she told him about the cheating? I don't know. Doesn't seem like he was bothered by it too much, but because he's got to have a storyline on reality TV, that sounds good to the audience. By all means, run with it. So I guarantee he's going to take to social media and start saying stuff. I guarantee, hell, I wouldn't be surprised if his sister or people in his family contacted me to say and try and share their story. And I get it. They're out to protect their brother. I get it. But when there's this many receipts out there against him, and I've seen them, and I have them, and I've spoken to the women involved, I mean, what else do you need? You know, I'm not saying, speaking with Rayleigh, before she was contacted, like I said, before she was contacted by this other girl who lives 10 minutes from Sam and who has been with Sam since he got back from filming, before she was contacted by her, Rayleigh was still under the assumption that at some point, maybe her and Sam could work on something. But I think that's out the window now. Pretty sure it is. So I just wanted to pass that along because I know it's going to end up being a story. And I know it's going to, I just know he's not going to take this sitting down. And this isn't like, I don't want to start some sort of war. But I know a lot of you that tuned in tonight wanted to hear the story and probably hadn't even seen Rayleigh's TikTok, because I didn't know about it until noon today when someone sent it to me. So, and I was just like, okay, remember when we did this with, what's his face? The guy from Gabby's season. Nate, big hair, Nate. Remember that whole thing? When his ex, after the first episode, put out a TikTok and said, oh my God, finding out that a guy I dated for a year and a half never told me he had a daughter. And I'm like, okay, well, let's go straight to the source. Contacted her, Kelsey, remember? Contacted Kelsey, and she sent me a 32-page Google Drive of their whole relationship along with photos. I put it in my website. Pretty much cost Nate a shot at The Bachelor. And this isn't like, oh, let's just go out and get men. But it's these women's stories. They're the ones coming forward. Rayleigh put her name behind it, knowing that she's probably going to get attacked by his family. And she already is, by his sister, because his sister has gone after her in the comments section of her TikTok. So I just wanted to pass that along and just know more is coming. And I'm sure he's going to defend himself. I'm sure his brothers and sisters are going to defend him on social media, probably will come to me at some point and say, you don't know what you're talking about. Those women are crazy. They're just looking to bring him down because he's on the show and he's getting attention. Well, look, I mean, him going on the show for attention and him telling his ex-fiance before he goes on that, not interested in the, what was the exact phrase? Don't even care about the show, just going on for the experience. Production knows I have to be back to officiate my sister's wedding anyway. Just know when you're watching the next 5 episodes, because he goes home in episode 6, just keep that in mind while you're watching it. Again, Sam McKinney is not a horrible human being. He's just no different than 90% of the guys that go on the show. He's a dog. He's an F-boy. That's all he is. He's playing the field. He's telling women what they want to hear. He's, gaslighting women into believing what he wants them to believe, telling them what they want to hear, having his cake and eating it too. But he's going to sell a sob story on TV because it sounds better. So I wanted to just get that story out there after having spent some time on the phone with Rayleigh today, and I appreciate her. And then by all means, if Rayleigh changes her mind and wants to come on, then she'll come on one of the live streams. I don't think she needs to at this point, but if you want to go check out her TikTok so you can get more of the story. But essentially, October of last year is when she met him, ended basically the day he told her I was going on The Bachelorette and he was leaving that day. And then they were in contact after he got back from filming, and they were making plans to see each other until the other girl contacted her today. And she's just like, okay, well, now And, I gave her my 2 cents because she's just like, why didn't he just tell me he was applying for the show? And I said, well, one, he's going to use his excuse of, well, he can't because he's under contract, but that didn't stop him from getting back from the show and telling her his feelings on what happened on the show and saying Jen's a liar and her feelings are all over the place. So have fun with that, Sam. All right. I want to get to, before we end this, we went a little bit longer than I thought, but that's okay. Wanted to get to any of your super chats. So Corinne, thank you for sending your super chat in. I appreciate that. Someone asked this, what's on your hat, Steve? This is the Dallas Mavericks symbol because I'm a Mavericks season ticket holder. Figured I'd have a Dallas Mavericks hat. I've actually got 3 Dallas Mavericks hats, but this is the one I wear the most. I'm a designer, yo. Said very entertaining. Great show today. Thank you. I thought Megan was great, per usual. And I knew that a lot of you were tuning in to hear the juice on the Sam McKinney stuff. Again, I don't want this to be some sort of war. But Rayleigh came out with a TikTok, shared her experience. I spoke with her. She showed me receipts. I wanted to go straight to the source and talk to her and got some more information. She had no problem with me sharing. Haley, how long will it take for us to hear a response or ruling from his new judge request? That I don't know. I'm not up to date on the legal side of things when it comes to that. But when I do have an answer, I'll be sure to let you know. Greek Chicky, thank you again for this. I appreciate it. Sent you an Instagram message about this. Today, show Twitter pulled a Survivor like Us Weekly did with Kenzie winning Survivor. They tweeted an intro about Devin. They've never done a spotlight on one contestant. Leads, yes. Contestants, no. Oh, I didn't realize they did that. Interesting. Well, I mean, we're just going to have to watch how this whole season plays out with Devin. I'm not hearing great things about Devin in tomorrow night's episode. I know that I don't know if it's one of these things where other guys are seeing she clearly has a connection with Devin and Devin steals her away during a group date, which means the guys have a problem with him. It could be something as simple as that. I don't know. But I am hearing that Devin is not going to be shown in the most positive light tomorrow, but it could be one of those not positive lights where it's just, okay, other guys are jealous of him because clearly Jenn likes him and clearly he's into Jenn, and let that be known right off the bat. Off topic, what week does Austin go home? He's one of the ones that I don't know for sure, but I think it's episode 5 in New Zealand because we know he doesn't make it to Seattle and we know he makes it to New Zealand in episode 4. So it's either 4 or 5, but I think it's 5. And according to what I heard he self-eliminates. I don't know why he self-eliminates, but I heard he self-eliminates. Lisa B, thank you. Appreciate you. Thank you for donating. And then Pamela said, if I send you a UConn basketball t-shirt, will you wear it? Oh, sure. At some point I will. I love UConn basketball. Well, I mean, I'm a fan of Danny Hurley. I like dynasties. I like the fact that they've won 6 national championships since the year 2000. And they're the preeminent college basketball program in all of America, going for a 3-peat this year. It's going to be awfully tough, but they do have a chance. You never know. But I wanted to share that story. Again, I wanted to thank Megan Fox for coming on. And again, I wanted to promote this Thursday, episode number 400. I gave you some of the teasers in Friday's social media posts on my reels and on my Instagram story of Clayton. It's a really good interview. I can't wait for you all to hear it. That'll be up on Thursday. The audio will be up probably 9:15 Eastern time on Thursday. And then I'm going to have the YouTube video go up right around the same time. So that'll be live on Thursday as well, right here on the Reality Steve YouTube channel. I don't think I'll be doing a live midweek unless something major breaks in Bachelor Nation. Again, I fully expect I'll keep you updated on any happenings in the Sam McKinney, Rayleigh, girl at the gym story, because I have a feeling now that this is out there, between what Rayleigh said on her TikToks, between me covering it for 30 minutes on this live stream, I'm sure he's going to say something, probably take shots at me. I'm sure his family and his brothers and sisters will probably take shots at me. But the bottom line is I saw the receipts. I know what I saw. I believe what Rayleigh told me, and there's no reason not to. And, you know, Sierra has told me things about Sam as well. And Sierra has never denied that cheating happened. She absolutely has said it happened, but she also said there's more to the story. I don't know what the more to the story is. I didn't ask. If she wants to tell it, she will, whether to me or whether publicly. I don't think she's going to, based on how she said, because she has moved on. She's not with Sam, obviously. But, you know, I just found it interesting. You know, Sam's talking about in the first episode that, you know, I was engaged and my ex cheated on me. Well, and he's just, you know, making it seem like he's all distraught, yet he got with his ex after she cheated on him. So how distraught really was he over it, you know? So anyway, again, thank you all for tuning in on this live stream. I really appreciate it. Remember, from here on out, Thursday podcast will be video podcast that you will be able to see on this YouTube channel. Clayton coming up on Thursday. Again, thank you all for tuning into this. Thank you to Megan Fox for coming on, for Brad for being our consultant behind the scenes today. Again, appreciate that. We're back tomorrow with the Daily Roundup, all week with the Daily Roundup, Thursday episode number 400 with Clayton, and then back next Sunday, obviously, for a live stream. Again, thank you all, everybody. I really appreciate it. And I will talk to you on the flip side on the Daily Roundup tomorrow. See ya!